Good morning, everybody. My name is Ellisa Cooper, and this is Cooking in Quarantine. Fantastic. For a second, I thought I had the wrong glasses on, but I have the right glasses on. So, here's what we're doing today. I have a pork loin over here. I think I've mentioned that I'm trying to balance fiber, protein, all kinds of things in my diet a little better. And so having some protein cooked and ready to go makes it easier to build a really balanced salad. Over here behind me, I have the carcass from the chicken I roasted a couple of days ago in a box of stock that had been open for 4 or 5 days. So rather than waste, I went ahead and put those in there to let the rest of whatever bits of chicken come off of the bones. And then I'll have the starter for some kind of a lovely little soup. Then, what is next? So here's what I'm going to do. I got up this morning and I just was interested in, I read 5 spice somewhere and I thought, oh my gosh, I want to have something with 5 spice. So I'm going to make this little marinade for this, and I'm also going to make sure that this guy doesn't boil over so it's not too much of a mess. So I'm going to start here. And I'm going to grate some ginger into the pan, directly into the pan that I intend to marinate in. I'm going to let this sit for a while, and who knows? Hello, who's out there? Let me see. I can't really see because I'm blind as a bat. So hello to whomever has joined. And I am just grating this ginger to make the 5 spice marinade. So, 5 spice is a backbone, is at the centerpiece, sort of, if you will, of Chinese cooking, of Vietnamese cooking, and it just is a sort of proprietary blend, largely of cloves, cinnamon, star anise, fennel seeds, and what's the other thing that goes into the 5? Oh, and Szechuan peppers. So the idea is that it balances your qi, your yin and your yang. And so it has the idea is that it has all the flavors. It's going to hit your tongue in a way that makes all of the happy places in your brain light up, right? Because that's what something that is delicious to us, it makes the pleasure centers of our brains light up. Pretty simple, huh? So that's why Southern cooking, I've heard this a million times in my life. That's so delicious. How'd you make it? Salt, pepper, sugar, and fat is almost always the answer, because that gets everything, hits every part of your tongue simultaneously, and boom, all the happy pleasure centers in your brain go off. So I also have here about 1/2 cup of chopped scallion that's going to come in here. And I got a few tablespoons of ginger in here probably. I'm going to put about 1/4 cup of soy sauce. And I really need some more soy sauce. So I'm actually going to put a little bit of this. I'm going to put my wine, my 1/4 cup of wine is going to go in here too to help me get all of that sticky, delicious soy out of here. Now, if you have anybody in your family who has a problem with gluten, you of course can get tamari, which is a gluten-free soy sauce. There we go. So now we've got a little wine in here. We've got our soy sauce, green onions, wine, and ginger is in here. And now we're going to add a couple of teaspoons of sesame oil. So I'm going to, I like to eyeball it. That seems like a teaspoon. And that seems like a teaspoon. And then the recipe I looked at this morning calls for chili oil, and I didn't realize that I didn't have any chili oil. But what I do have is crunchy garlic in chili oil. And how could that be anything but amazing and delicious, right? So we're going to add a couple of teaspoons of this that will give us both the heat and the marvelous crunchiness of the garlic. I love this stuff. If you don't know about it, grab some the next time you're in your specialty store, or place an order. This is made by S&B, which makes a lot of products in your Asian Isle crunchy garlic topping. Yum, it's great stuff. We got that, and then finally we're gonna put some 5-spice in here. And I got fresh 5-spice this morning, so let's open that up. Well, hello. My fingernails are failing me. Pardon me, while I get myself a little knife to help me with this portion of the day. Here we go. And there we go. Here we are. Perfect. Got it. Perfect. So, excellent. So this calls for 2 teaspoons. I'll play fast and loose with that as well. Perfect. That seems about right. Perfect. And, oh, the smell is just so wonderful. If you aren't a fennel star anise fan or user, I highly recommend you do it. It's just so wonderful and gives you such amazing flavor. So I'm just going to mix this up a little bit. Make sure all of that, you know, those barky things like cloves and cinnamon sometimes kind of just float in your marinades and your liquids. So you want to mix that up pretty well. And then I've just taken my little pork loin here, and I did pat it dry here, and I'm just going to lay this right there in that bath. And this is not quite enough to cover it, so maybe we'll give it a little, put a little over top of it, and of course I will come in here and I'll turn it 2 or 3 times over the next few hours. But with all of this, think about, we've got all of this rich flavor, the garlic, the oil, the salty of the soy, the acid from the wine. All of these things are going to work together to make this incredibly tender and lovely. So, you know, that's kind of where we are today. And I have only a short one for us today because I'm not really in the mood to eat right now. My neighbor has gone to visit his mom at the beach, so I don't have anybody to feed right now. So we'll just get this prepped and started. And then a little later in the day, when I'm a little more interested in eating, I'll get this cooked up when it's all nice and delicious. Paper thin slices on a big bed of greens with super crunchy vegetables. And I'll have to think about what kind of a dressing that I want to make to go specifically with the 5-spice. So that'll be an exciting little thing to do a little later in the afternoon. So guys, that's my story today. I know that that was super, super quick, but I am making some plans. Those of you who haven't joined on YouTube, please do go to YouTube. If you can spell my name, you can find me. And subscribe to my channel. I would really appreciate that. So now that New York has started phase 1 of reopening, I'm going to start phase 1 of figuring out how to address cooking after quarantine, right? So I have bought the URL, Cooking After Quarantine, so there's that. But I'm going to be expanding, changing things, doing things a little differently because the needs aren't the same. You know, when we started doing this, it was because everybody was tense and anxious about being in quarantine and we were all so confused and didn't really understand what was going on, what was the nature of the disease, what was going to happen. We now have come to a new place where we realize that the virus was the least of our disease, the least of our worries, and that the great disease is truly the racism that hides in the darkest corners of really every one of our hearts. So as we get out and try to change the world, I'm going to stay right here and change cooking in quarantine. So hopefully over the next few weeks, we'll continue doing some cooking. We'll maybe add some wine segments, maybe some more cocktail segments, because I feel a little more at ease to do things that are beyond just what we need to live. We talked a lot about in the early weeks about privation cooking, making sure that nothing is wasted. I still want to be that person, but I also don't have any longer the fear that we're going to be here with no income until 2022 or something like that. So I'm going to try to expand, make things a little different, a little more interesting. We might not be live every day, but we are going to make some changes, and we're still going to be putting out as much social commentary, learning, cooking, drinking, and as we can, right? It's like I'm talking about the royal we, me and the persons who live inside my head. So anyway, guys, that's the story. Let me wheel up and see who's coming here to visit today. Hello, Leah, and hello, Katie, and Carolyn Joe, and Lisa, and Julie, and Denise, and Sandy. Thank you guys all for coming today. And I thank you, Katie. I'm glad that you're learning things, because the more, one of the things that I have read is that evidently people who drink a lot of wine, a lot of different wines, are less likely to succumb to dementia, because you're constantly stimulating lots of different parts of your brain, right? So be adventuresome and adventurous in your eating, and fill your spice cabinet with all kinds of exciting and amazing things. It's literally good for your brain to introduce new and exciting flavors. So there we go. Find a new and exciting flavor. Anybody that's going to the grocery store today, I want you to stop and want you to buy something you've never bought before in the spice rack, and then go home and figure out what to do with it. Doesn't that sound like a fun thing? I think that's your challenge for the day. That means every one of you will challenge your brain, not just with the flavors, but with cooking something new. How about that, guys? That, and all I can say is that Black Lives Matter. I had a great opportunity last night in teaching a class, a wine class, where we had people of various ethnicities, and we had a great opportunity to listen to our Black brothers and sisters talk about what is going on in this world. And it was great to just shut up and listen. So listen, reach out to people. If you are not compromised, go out and march some in your community. Show people who you are. Make sure that there's no question, that your neighbors know who you are and how you believe, and that you are an ally. So there's that, guys. That's what I have to say today, and I hope you guys all have a wonderful, wonderful day. And if you're in the Mississippi River Valley, I hear that it's really, really bad weather, so be careful. Love you guys.